Here we have a problem on quadratic equation. Okay, let's go the question. Solve for x, x negative 1 over x whole square positive 2 times x positive 1 over x equals to 7 1/4. In this equation, we have to find the value of x. Okay, now let me write the given equation. That is x negative 1 over x whole square positive 2 times x positive 1 over x equals to, we can convert this mixed number to improper fraction. For that, we have to multiply this 4 and 7. That is 4 times 7 is 28. 28 positive 1 is 29 divided by 4. Okay, this equation seems to be a bit complicated. And also, when I look at the stuff we have over here inside the parenthesis, we have x negative 1 over x, but here we have x positive 1 over x. We don't get the same stuff inside the parenthesis over here and here. In case, if I get the same stuff inside the parenthesis over here, what I can do is I can plug in a new variable for the stuff what we have inside the parenthesis to make the solving process easier. Okay, now what we can do is we can try to get the same stuff inside the first parenthesis and the second parenthesis. For that, let me consider the algebraic identity, that is a negative b the whole square equals to a positive b the whole square and negative 4ab. Okay, now in this identity, instead of a, I'm going to write x, and instead of b, I'm going to write 1 over x. So that is this stuff. So then I'm getting x and negative 1 over x the whole square equals to, and the right side also the same, x positive 1 over x the whole square negative 4 times x times 1 over x. So here this x and x will cancel out. Then I'm getting x negative 1 over x the whole square equals to x positive 1 over x the whole square negative 4. Okay, now I got the stuff that is equivalent to this term x negative 1 over x whole square. So it is equal to x positive 1 over x whole square negative 4. Now we can plug in this one for the first term we have over here. Then I'm getting x positive 1 over x whole square negative 4, and I can write the rest as it is. That is positive 2 times x positive 1 over x equals to 29 over 4. Okay, now look at the stuff over here in the parenthesis. Here inside the parenthesis, we have the same stuff. Now we can assign a new variable for this one. So that is let p equals to x positive 1 over x. Then we can plug in p for this x positive 1 over x. Then we get p square over here, negative 4 positive. And for this one also we can plug in p. Then we get 2p equals to 29 over 4. Okay, now let me write p square, then 2p. Let me write this constant of negative 4 at last. And when I move this 29 over 4 to the left side, it will become negative 29 over 4 equals to 0. Okay, now we have a quadratic equation in terms of p. Okay, now what we can do is, let me write p square positive 2p. Now we have to simplify this integer and a fraction. For that, what we have to do is we have to multiply this integer 4 by the denominator of the fraction. Once I'm done with this multiplication, I can take this 4 as a common denominator. Then I'm getting negative 16, negative 29 all divided by 4 equals to 0. Then p square positive 2p. When I combine negative 16 and negative 29, I'm getting negative 45 divided by 4 equals to 0. Okay, now to get up this denominator 4, I multiply both sides of this equation by 4. That is 4 times p square positive 2p. Negative 45 over 4 equals to 4 times 0. Okay, now we can distribute this 4 to this p square 2p and negative 45 over 4. When I do so, I am getting 4p square positive 8p negative 4 times 45 over 4 equals to 0. So here this 4 will cancel. Then I'm getting 4p square positive 8p negative 45 equals to 0. Okay, now we have a quadratic equation in standard form. That is, we have all the terms on one side of the equation, on the other side we have 0. So now we can try to solve this quadratic equation by factoring. Okay, now let me continue on the next page. This is the quadratic equation we have had on the previous page. Okay, now let's try to solve this one by factoring. For that, we have to multiply this constant of negative 45 by the coefficient of p square. When I multiply this negative 45 by the coefficient of p square 4, I am getting negative 180. That is negative 45 times 4 is negative 180. Now I have to get two factors for this negative 180, so that the sum of the two factors over here is equal to the coefficient of p, that is positive 8. I think positive 18 and negative 10 will work. When I multiply positive 18 and negative 10, I'm getting negative 180. When I add positive 18 and negative 10, I'm getting positive 8, which is the coefficient of p over here. Further, I have to divide both these factors by the coefficient of p square 4. Let me do it. When I divide this positive 18 by 4, I am getting positive 9 over 2, and here I am getting negative 5 over 2. Okay, now to get the first value of p, I have to change the sign of this first factor. So it's positive. If I change the sign, I'm getting negative 9 over 2. That's the first value of p in this quadratic equation. And now to get the second value of p, I have to change the sign of the second factor. It's already negative. If I change the sign, it will become positive. That is a positive 5 over 2. Actually, p is a variable taken by us. It has to be replaced by the original stuff. What is the original stuff? Actually, we have p equals to x positive 1 over x. This is the original stuff. Now we have to plug in this for p and solve for x, because we have the original equation in the variable x and our aim is to find the value of x. So now we can plug in x positive 1 over x for p. Let me take the first equation over here. That is p equals to negative 9 over 2. Now let me plug in x positive 1 over x for p over here, negative 9 over 2. Okay, now let's simplify this one. So here I'm adding a fraction and an integer. Now to simplify this one, I have to multiply this x by this denominator x. When I do so, I'm getting x times x square. Once I'm done with this multiplication, I can take this x as a common denominator. Then we get x square positive 1 over x, a simplification of this one. On the right side, we have negative 9 over 2. Okay, now what we can do is we can do cross multiplication. When I do so, I'm getting 2 times x square positive 1 equals to negative 9x. Now we can distribute this 2 to x square and positive 1. Then I'm getting 2x square positive 2 equals to negative 9x. Now let me add 9x to both sides. When I do so, here negative 9x positive 9x will cancel out. Then I'm getting 2x square positive 9x positive 2 equals to 0. Okay, now I got the quadratic equation in standard form. Okay, now we have to solve this quadratic equation for x. I don't think this quadratic equation can be solved by factoring, so we have to use quadratic formula. So for that, we have to compare this quadratic equation with ax square positive bx positive c equals to 0. When I do such comparison, for a, that is coefficient of x square equals to 2, and for b we have 9, and for c we have 2. Now we have a quadratic formula, that is x equals to negative b positive or negative square root of b square negative 4ac over 2a. Okay, now let me plug in the values over here. X equals to negative 9 positive or negative square root of 9 square negative 4 times the value of a is 2 and the value of c is also 2. Then we get 2 times the value of a is 2. Then we get x equals to negative 9 positive or negative square root of 9 square is 81 and 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16 divided by 4. Then we get x equals to negative 9 positive or negative square root of 65 over 4. Okay, now just simplified everything. So then we got x equals to negative 9 positive or negative square root of 65 over 4. Now we can split up this one into two parts. That is the first value of x can be written as negative 9 positive square root of 65 over 2, and the second value of x is negative 9 negative square root of 65 over 2. Okay, now I got two values for x, but here both the roots are irrational roots, because we have here we have square root of 65 and here we have square root of 65, and this is irrational number. So here the first two roots we got for x in the for the given equation are irrational roots. Okay, now we have to solve this equation. That is, in this equation for p we have to plug in the original stuff, that is x positive 1 over x. Okay, now let me continue on the next page. Okay, so here we have x positive 1 over x equals to we have on the right side 5 over 2. Let me write it. Okay, now we have to simplify this one. That is, we have to multiply this x by this x. Then I'm getting x square positive 1. Once we are done with this multiplication, we can take this x as a common denominator. Then we have 5 over 2. Now we can do cross multiplication. Then we get 2 times x square positive 1. And here 5 times x. So I just multiplied this one by this denominator and this numerator by this denominator. Okay, now we can distribute this 2 to x square and positive 1. Then I'm getting 2x square positive 2 equals to 5x. Now let me subtract 5x from both sides to get the quadratic equation standard form. So this one will cancel. I'm getting 2x square negative 5x positive 2 equals to 0. Okay, now I think this quadratic equation can be solved by factoring. For that, we have to multiply this constant term positive 2 by the coefficient of x square 2. So when I do so, I'm getting positive 4. Now we have to get two factors for this positive 4, so that the sum of the two factors equals to the coefficient of x, that is negative 5. Then I'm getting negative 4, negative 1. So when I multiply negative 4 and negative 1, I'm getting positive 4. When I add negative 4 and negative 1, I'm getting negative 5, which is the coefficient of x. Now I have to divide both these factors by the coefficient of x square, that is 2. Let me do it. So when I do so, for this one, I'm getting negative 2, negative 4 divided by 2. Here 1 is not divisible by 2. We can write this one as it is, that is negative 1 over 2. Okay, now to get the first value of x in this quadratic equation, I have to change the sign of this first factor, then I'm getting positive 2. Now to get the second value of x in this quadratic equation, I have to change the sign of the second factor. Already it's negative. When I change the sign, it is positive 1 over 2. So in all, for the given quadratic equation, I got 4 roots. That means I got 4 values of x. Already we know that the first 2 values of x are irrational numbers, and now I got 2 more values for x. But here these 2 roots are rational roots, 2 and 1 over 2.